Okay, let us see the example of interface. Okay, what is this particular interface means? You should have a keyword called interface followed by name of the interface. Okay, you know that interface must contain only abstract methods. Am I right? So abstract method means the definition part should be empty. Okay, so I have a method called print here, and this print doesn't have any definition parts. Am I right? So if it doesn't have any definition part, by default the compiler will take that particular method to be abstract method. So yes, now I have completed with the interface definitions. Okay, next I enter into class definition. My class name is A6. So my class name is A6. A6. So what is the keyword I have given? Implement. Okay, remember it is not extend. Okay, implement means I'm going to define the abstract methods which are defined declared in the interface. Okay, so whom I am going to implement abdina, I'm going to implement printable. Okay, so I'm going to implement printable. So what is the content of printable? So printable contains print function. Okay, am I right? So again I have defined the function here, public void print system.out.println hello. Okay, so in the class I have defined some statements. If we want to create one more class, ma'am, yes, you can create one more class, and again you can write the implement keyword and you can infer the same interface, but here the run method print methodology can have some other definition part. Okay, here no inheritance relationship is available. Okay, here inheritance we are not using it, just you are copying some template and using it. Okay, now I have written public static void main. So void main structure. So if I have created void main structure abdina, I need to create object for the class, because for creation I need to create an object. Okay, so I need to create an object for the class A6. So this A6 is going to call the constructor. Then I'm object is trying to call the print function. Okay, so when I write obj.print function, now class A6 have the print function defined it, right? Have it defined it, so automatically your output will be printed hello. Okay, so this is your second example, shows you draw shapes, right? In inheritance we have seen this example with a class parent shape, right? So now I have made this shape parent class to be as drawable, named as drawable, and that is an interface kind. Okay, so you know that interface means I shouldn't have the definition part of the function. So here I'm going to have a common function, so that function is draw function, so I have not defined it in the parent class. Okay, and rectangle is a class. Okay, this rectangle also implements the drawable. So what I have in drawable abdina, draw function I have. Okay, so this definition part will be filled by the rectangle. So what I have in the rectangle, drawing rectangle is there, so this will be loaded to the definition part. Okay, and likewise public void. Okay, let me zoom this particular PowerPoint. Okay, do you understand now? So interface means you are not going to define any definition part. Instead, the definition part will be defining in the classes. Okay, but here the relationship is not an inheritance kind. Okay, you are going to define by its own. Here overriding is not possible, okay, because I use a keyword called implement. Okay, so simple for understanding implementation of a stack அப்படின்னா what you will do, you know the methodology of a stack, how the stack will be working, and what is the operation of a stack, and what is the input of the stack, right? But the definition all you will be dumping at each and every classes, right? So you are going to write the code for doing the stack, am I right? So likewise implement in the sense you are going to define. Okay, so interface means you are collecting the common methods and variables you are frequently using in many classes. Okay, so you can define or you can assign the value to those class method and variable depends on the class you are using. Okay, so in this particular class I just zoom this particular program. So in this class I have an interface definition. So here the draw methodology is going to be repeated. So I made that as an empty. Okay, so another class myself having called rectangle, and one more class I myself having circle, and another class I myself having test interface. This is for my void main statement. Okay, so two classes myself having. So rectangle class is going to implement drawable, which means the rectangle class is going to define whatever the structure I have in the drawable interface. Okay, so drawable is containing a method called draw. Okay, so I need to define a method called draw under rectangle. Okay, likewise circle also implements drawable. Okay, so here also I need to define the same method called draw. Here the definition part happens. Okay, and again you know that when I'm starting with abstract class or interface, uh, I need to create object for the parent class, right? So it is runtime polymorphism. Here for interface, you need to create object for the interface and call the constructor of the concerned child class. Okay, just remind this point. Okay, interface means one, create object for interface. Okay, second, call concern child class, I mean concern class constructor. Concern class constructor. Okay, this is the real rule you should remember when you are writing your void main statement. Am I clear? Here is another example. Please refer by yourself. If you have any doubts, just call me. Here it is not inheritance, it is implement. Okay, remember there is no relation between bank, SBI and PNB. Yeah, this particular program will tell you how to do multiple inheritance in Java. Okay, as I told earlier, you cannot use multiple inheritance like using the keyword called extend, right? Father and mother having the same function abdina, child will be struck with a problem called which method I need to call. So at this juncture the solution can be the parent method as well as child method, make it as a zero. Okay, sorry, both the parent method you make it as a zero, which means no definition part. Child you can define by yourself. Okay, so that is an example for your uh, interface with multiple inheritance. Okay, So it is not inheritance. uh, what do you say? Multiple inheritance means you should take two sources, two parent sources. In that perspective they are telling us inheritance, multiple inheritance. Okay, how can I do abdina? The parents I'm telling, no, that parent is not referred to a class, rather than that parent refers to a interface. Okay, in this program I have two interfaces, one is printable and another one is showable. Okay, so printable going to have a template of print, and showable going to have a template of show. Okay, so I have defined a class, so and that particular class name is A7. Okay, let us zoom this particular program. Okay, so I have a class called A7. So this A7 is going to implement two interfaces. Okay, which means this A7 is going to assign the definition part for the two interfaces. So tell me where two which two interfaces. So that are separated by using comma operator. So printable comma showable. So simple understanding. I am going to define the methods of print and show. Okay, for my class, am I right? So then public void print system dot out dot println hello, and public void show system dot out dot println welcome. So just I have defined it now. Then I need to call, so create an object, but object should be created for interface. Okay, uh, Okay, at this juncture, myself having two interfaces, right? Two interfaces, and this particular A7 is a class, and this particular class is going to define two interfaces. So for me, in this situation, I need to create object for the class, not for the interface. Okay, so A7 is my object, sorry, class name. So obj is my object, and constructor A7 is called. So object dot print and object dot show. So it tells about hello and it is welcome. Okay, so this is about multiple inheritance. Okay, in this example the method are different, right? So print and show, these two methods are different. Like father is containing print and mother is containing show. Okay, so that the child will not get confused with inferring the print and show methods. But the situation comes to be complicated when both the printable interface and showable interface contains the same method. Okay, there comes an ambiguity, right? So this is an example for that. Here print function is defined in both printable and showable. Okay, but the child is not at this juncture, the child is not having any complication because both the interfaces doesn't have any definition parts. Okay, the definition parts will be defined by the child alone, so no issues that it takes from the parent interface or it takes from the child interface. Okay, if you see here, this print function is defined here only. Okay, so it can take any of the template from printable or showable. So this program will give you the impossibility of multiple inheritance in Java. So that is nothing but multiple inheritance is achieved in Java using the concept of interface. Okay. Okay, this one tells you that one interface going to inherit another interface. Okay, so you know that interface nale it is empty body, right? So if one interface going to inherit another interface, na the diagrammatic representation of third one. Okay, you are going to upgrade your second interface from the first interface. You are going to update the interface content. Okay, in situation if I need to combine 3 to 4 interfaces to a class அப்படின்னா in previous class it is two parent class only, two interfaces. What happens if I need to combine more and more classes in the sense அப்படின்னா I can do inheritance for the interface. You can do multi-level inheritance, and then you can take this recent child classes alone for the another class. Okay, here is that kind of an example. Printable is one kind of interface, and showable is a kind of interface. So this extends printable in the sense the showable interface also contains showable sorry, it's got stuck. So now the showable going to extend printable, right? So now the showable contains print function as well as show function. Okay, this is showable. Okay, next I have a class called test interface 4, and this class is alone going to implement these two methods. Okay, showable method, because inside the showable itself I have brought my print function also. Okay, so I'm going to define my print function within the showable test interface 4. So hello and welcome is there. So I have created object for the class, because this is going to take up from the interface alone. Okay, the thing you should remember abdina, if you creating object for the class abdina, the method whom you are calling is important. Okay, so obj.print and obj.show. Okay, so this class test 4 is implementing showable in the sense show will have the definition part of welcome, and here print will have hello. So these all happens at runtime, not at compile time. Okay, please be aware about that. So that only we create one particular object, that might be class or interface, but constructor you should remember. Okay, so if you create an object for the interface abdina, you should call the concerned constructor of the class. Okay, or else if you are using if you are creating object for the class abdina, no issues, you can directly call the constructors, class constructor. So here is another example. So this example contains default method. Okay, let me discuss about default method at the last of the topic, because default is an access specifier. So that access specifier is very much curious about your final keyword, like. Okay, so I will talk about this default in the previous case, in the last. Okay, here also the same kind of example I have been repeated. So I have created an object D for the interface I have called. If I create object for interface abdina, I need to call the concerned constructor, right? So I have created called the rectangle class. So I have draw function. So D dot draw. So draw means drawings rectangle. And then d dot message means actually this rectangle I don't have any definition part, but here when I define a method with the default அப்படின்னா it never changes. Okay, so then it calls the interface content. So this is another kind of example for demonstrating your drawable interface. As I told earlier, your interface can contain default, static, final and so and all, which means agenda is the content which never gets updated அப்படின்றத வந்து you will keeping in the inside the interface. Okay, the static means it never gets changed. Object, once the object is created அப்படின்னா it cannot be updated னு சொல்லுவோம். ஆமாவா? Am I right? And if I say default அப்படின்னா it also life of the scope available within the block alone. So no more it is made as a private. Okay, it is not accessible outside the class also. Okay, if we say final அப்படின்னா the value of that method where you cannot override that particular method, right? So we have some restriction. You can also keep these all things in the interfaces. We saw in the previous class, if you have a default அப்படின்னா the default method it prints whatever you defined it there. Okay, never gets changed. Likewise, I have a static. So if you see in the main functions, I have created object for the interface. So this interface is going to call a method constructor rectangle, so which means a class. So when I come here, I implement the drawable. So what are the content of drawable அப்படின்னா I have a draw method. To that method is undefined. Okay, so I'm going to update, I'm going to write statements for the draw method. Okay, so have I defined any draw method here? Yeah, I have defined a draw method. So system.out.println drawing rectangle. So this particular line will be patched at this juncture, and then I come here, system.out.println drawable.cube of 3. Actually this is a calling statement. Okay, once if a function is defined as static அப்படின்னா you are not going to create an object. So if you are not creating an object அப்படின்னா the value of that particular method will never get changed. Okay, it is been as same as it is. Okay, so in that scenario I'm going to supply the attribute parameter 3 to this particular static function. So x will be assigned as 3, and under the block multiplication of x happens, so which means it is resultant as 27. Okay, so 27 will be printed as it is. So these are the difference between your abstract class and interface class. Just go through it. If you have any doubts, you can clarify me. So abstract class can have abstract and non-abstract method, but interface only abstract method you should have, and it can have default or static method also. And here it doesn't upload multiple inheritance, but interface supports multiple inheritance. Abstract class can have final, non-final, static and non-static variables, and interface has only static and final. Non-final illa non-static not applicable. Abstract classes can provide implementation of interface, which means an abstract class can give definition part to an interface. Okay, but interface cannot give implementation to the abstract class, which means interface methods and variables can be defined by a class. That class might be an abstract class or some other classes. Okay, normal class. So abstract keyword used, inge interface keyword used. Abstract can extend another Java class and implement multiple Java interfaces. But interface can extend another Java interface. Interface can extend interface, but interface cannot implement an interface. That is not possible. But class can implement interface. Abstract classes can be extended using extend, but interface classes can be implemented using implements. அங்கே extend யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம், இங்கே implement யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். Yes, abstract classes can have class members like private and protected, but interface ல எல்லாமே private தான். Okay, in interfaces by default okay, it is by default, it is public. Yes, I am forgotten. In the diagram we see no public static final, right, for a data member, and public abstract void method, right. Compiler does this job automatically, so it is by default public. Thank you.